Dear Ukrainian men. Dear Ukrainian women. Today marks exactly 4 years since Putin was supposed to take Kyiv in 3 days. And this actually says a lot about our resistance, about how Ukraine has been fighting all this time. According to these words, millions of our people, according to these words, great courage, very hard work, endurance, and a long path that Ukraine has been overcoming since February 24, 2022. This office, this small room in the bunker in Bankova Street, here were my first conversations with world leaders at the beginning of the war. I spoke here with President Biden, and it was here that I heard, Volodymyr, there is a threat. You need to leave Ukraine urgently. We are ready to help with this. And I replied here that I needed a weapon, not a ride. And not because we are all so fearless or so steely. We are all human, and on that day every one of us, all Ukrainians, felt both fear and pain. Many were in shock, and many didn't know what to say. But on some invisible level we all knew. There is no other Ukraine for us, this is our home. And we all understood what had to be done. It was such a choice. A choice that millions of Ukrainians made then. Our people did not raise the white flag, but defended the blue and yellow one. And the occupiers, who thought that they would be greeted here by queues with flowers, saw queues at the military registration and enlistment office. Our people chose resistance, and our soldiers, they stood firm, and civilians defended cities, defended our villages, streets, courtyards. Ordinary people stopped columns of equipment with an absolutely living wall. And we all together suggested to the lost Russia the only true way. Everyone understood. Every tomorrow needs to be gained. Ukraine had to stand, the state had to stand in spite of everything, and in spite of everything, our Ukraine had to work. A lot was done here. We have never shown this object before. Now it is empty, of course. And at the beginning of the war, there were hundreds of people here. I worked here. Then I went upstairs. I addressed to you, to people. Our team, the government, was here. Daily meetings with the military, calls, search for solutions. Everything necessary for Ukraine to survive. It was necessary to deliver weapons. We delivered medicines, delivered food to cities blocked by the enemy so that there would be life. For which Ukraine is so desperately fighting. And, to be honest, it was different at times. And then there was both official and non-literary language. Because every aid package, every sanctions against Russia, every shipment of weapons, all this had to be really gnawed. Faith in Ukraine had to be gnawed. To make the world turn on. And this was the key message of appeals to European countries, to the US Congress, to most parliaments of the world. And to people, certainly to ordinary people, to millions around the world. Be with us, be with Ukraine, believe in us. Stand with Ukraine. Be brave like Ukraine. These calls worked because the Ukrainians fought in such a way that it was breathtaking, and this resistance was visible from space. It was absolutely inspiring. So very soon everyone saw this blue and yellow sea. Thousands of people with our flags in the squares of Europe and the world. And so gradually, with difficulty, step by step, Ukraine erected that support brick by brick. Which allowed us to endure when we survived the first day of the war, the longest in our lives. And then another day, and another, then a week, 2, and then a month. And we saw spring. We won it then. When it seemed. This February will never end. We won our first spring during the Great War. It was a turning point. And for the first time then, the following thought flashed through everyone's mind. We can. Ukraine will be able to do it. I really like the phrase that everyone reposted at that time. This is a kind of summary of the first stage of a full-scale war when Ukraine said, "Do you think I got down on my knees? I had just laced up my combat boots. And a road lay ahead. And even in this long tunnel, not even a millionth of the pain that Ukraine has experienced during this time cannot be contained. The pain that Russia has brought to each of our families, to every Ukrainian heart. Bucha, Irpin, Borodyanka, mass graves, Gostomel, Maria, Kharkiv, Mykolaiv, Oda, Kharkovka Dam, Zaporizhzhia NPP, Kremenchuk and Kryvyi Rih, Ternopil and Lviv, Olenivka, Charsiv Yar, Kyiv, Omadat, Kramatorsk, the station, the toy, Mariupol, the drama theater, the inscription, Chidran, Odessa, the high-rise building, the 3-month-old girl, Vilnyansk, the maternity, the 2-day-old baby. Men don't fight like that. People don't act that way. Ukrainians will not forget this. And let these shots be seen by everyone who is not tormented by conscience. Who still reaches out to Russian evil and still buys oil from Putin. But all this time, we don't let anger eat us inside. Ukrainians turn their own rage into energy for the struggle and prove. Can make us go down to the vault. But it is impossible to drive Ukraine underground forever. We certainly get up, come back. We continue to fight because we are fighting for life. For the right to stand on our land, to breathe our own air. And Ukraine knows these feelings well. When, in spite of everything, after the end of the day, we go upstairs and when hope rises from the bomb shelter with us, it always flies to the sky. When the Ukrainian flag rises up. When it returned and returns to where it should rightfully be. And this is the next important stage of our struggle. When Ukraine not only withstood and not only holds the defense. And when Ukraine gives up. When history was made by entire cities, hero cities, cities of heroes that went forward. There were the first offensives, the first successes and what cannot be forgotten, the first eyes. The eyes of Ukrainians who waited for hours. Balaklia, Izyum, Kupiansk, Kherson. And everyone saw how the occupiers were driven out of the Kyiv region, driven out of Sumy and Chernihiv regions. And everyone learned about the Ukrainian teleport for enemies to the next world, Chornobyivka. We saw how Russian ultimatums became gestures of goodwill, how Smyrny became ours again, how the word cotton got a new meaning, and how we rejoiced when the first cotton was heard in Russia. This is not gloating. That's just how justice sounds in Ukrainian. It sounds like Stuna, Vilkha, Neptune, and the roar with which the cruiser, Moskva, went to the bottom. Then it was an event, later, a tradition. And few other things warm the souls of Ukrainians as the footage of burning military facilities of the enemy and its refineries. When it happened for the first time, it was big news, now it is almost daily. And what used to seem like fiction has now become the norm. Patriots, Iris-T, Nasamzy, F-16, and something more. Our weapons, our range. Just realize. Ukraine has gone from the point when armor was handed over to the point where we ourselves make more than 3 million FPVs a year. From the days when we admired javelins and bayraktars to the day when we have our own. Sich, Gore, Vampire, Palyunitsia, Peklo, Ruta, Flamingo. From the request to close the sky to the ability to shoot down hundreds of Shaheeds overnight, from homemade obstacles and fortifications on the streets of Kyiv to the Kursk operation and the Operation Spider Web. But even this is not enough. We will do more because Russia does not stop, unfortunately, and is fighting with all methods against peace, against us, against people. Putin understands that he is not able to defeat Ukraine on the battlefield. And the second army in the world is fighting high-rise buildings and power plants. And now Ukrainians are overcoming the most difficult winter in history and terror almost every night. I don't know who else would have endured this. Not crumbled, not shaken. Ukrainians are doing it. This is a great fatigue, for sure. What other nation can overcome evil in spite of the war, all these attacks? All the trials, defeat, despair, and hold on and stay in unity? And with all this, get results everywhere. Every time after the attacks, to recover, to fill our air defense with missiles every time, to go to work every morning, to constantly hold positions, to talk to the world on an equal footing, to obtain EU candidacy, to return home thousands of our prisoners, and to make every international platform from Davos to the UN pro-Ukrainian. To make Ukraine's voice loud in the world, to win Eurovision, to take away the Oscar and BAFTA, to be the absolute world champions in boxing, and to prove that Ukrainians have an honor of the highest standard. Much more expensive than any gold of this spineless IOC. From each such act, from all such steps, achievements, small victories, great Ukraine is made. Great because it has you, people who inspire the planet. We remember how the first foreign leaders arrived in Ukraine at the beginning of this war. And the term official visit cannot even one iota convey what these meetings were for us. We realized who really is our brother and friend. Who was not afraid, did not hesitate. Who kept the name and did not worry about making Putin angry. I want to thank every leader who chose the bright side of history. Chose Ukraine in Europe, the USA, Canada, Japan, Australia, everyone who is with us. And I really want to come here one day with the President of the United States. I know for sure. Only after visiting Ukraine and seeing with your own eyes our life and struggle. Feeling our people and this sea of pain. This is the only way to understand what this war is really about and through whom. Who is the aggressor here? Who needs to be pressured? To understand that Ukraine is defending life, fighting for this. And this is not a street fight. This is an attack by a sick state on a sovereign one. And understand that Putin is this war. He is the reason for the beginning and the obstacle to its end. And it is Russia that must be put in its place so that there is real peace. They say that time heals. I'm not sure. At least, I don't know how long it takes to heal all our wounds, all these painful questions. From which it burns inside. How many tears have been shed? How many attacks, treacherous blows? How many scars on the heart? How many flags in our cemeteries? How many names? Da Vinci, Grenka, Zeus, Cheka, Tiki, Nord, Petrichenko, Matievsky, Sailor Vitaly Skakorn, Pilot Oleksandr Oksanchenko, Daria Lopatina, Delta, Lana Chornogorska, Sati, Yulia Bereziak, Margarita Polovinka. Thousands and thousands of heroes. Who gave their lives for Ukraine to live? Our warriors defenders, our guardian angels. I am sure that they accurately told God the whole truth about this war. About how we defend ourselves. Defend our land, life, independence, our culture, history, our St. Sophia Cathedral, our people. 1,462 days of a full-scale war, 12 years since the beginning of Russia's aggression is a whole life for someone. Of course, we all want the war to end, but no one will allow Ukraine to end. We want a strong, dignified, long-lasting peace. And before each round of negotiations, I give our team very clear directives. This always goes through closed decrees, but I will definitely not reveal state secrets if I say my main message. Not to nullify all these years. Not to devalue all the struggle. Courage, dignity, everything that Ukraine has gone through. We can't give it away. Forget it, betray it. That is why there are so many rounds of negotiations and a battle for every word. For every point, for real security guarantees. So that the agreement is strong. History looks at us closely. The agreement must not only be signed, it must be accepted by Ukrainians. Dear people, the force that has held us all these years is you, our people. Our resistance is you, Ukrainian men and women, everyone who does not give up. Our eyes may be tired, but our backs are steadfast. And I want to thank each and every one who holds independence on their shoulders, every soldier for strength, your parents, children, wives, husbands for their endurance. I thank everyone who makes Ukraine stronger with their work. Who returns light and warmth to our home, who heals, volunteers. Who teaches, who studies at the university or at school and learns the most important thing, to be people, to be Ukrainians. I'm proud of you. I believe in each and every one, in everyone to whom I have the honor to address without any exaggeration. Great people are great Ukraine. Remembering the beginning of the invasion and looking at today, we have every right to say, we defended independence, we did not lose statehood. Ukraine exists not only on the map. Ukraine is a subject of international relations. Our capital is. There are Kharkiv, Sumy, Chernihiv, Dnipro, Zaporizhzhia, Kramatorsk, Odessa, Lviv and other cities. Putin did not achieve his goals, did not break Ukrainians, did not win this war. We have saved Ukraine, and we will do everything to win peace and justice. Until spring, less than a week. We are overcoming the most difficult winter in history. This is a fact. And this is very difficult. It's not easy for all of you. But just like on the first day of the war, we continue to build our tomorrow. Step by step, act by act, achievement by achievement. And every result, every success, every Ukraine could. The merit of all of you, the Ukrainian people. Glory to Ukraine.
Glory to the heroes.